The Minister of Youth and Sports. Okay. Welcome, Isaac.
Well, sir, but thank you. And let me say good morning to all of your listeners, our people from Meriden County to Lofa to Grenjile to Sanu, Montserrat, and everywhere else. It's always a pleasure being here with you, actually.
Good. Now, gentlemen, let's begin this note. I know you didn't include, but I thought that was quite necessary. Boyka, you've been traveling with the president. I think I'm sure the both of you. The president went to bombing card. He went to Bapolo. He went to Grand Cape Mankari. Went to Lofa. And went to Nimba. I understand he should be in the Grand Gilead now. Tell me about first your impression about the entire campaign trail, all the counties the president has been going.
Well, thank you once again for having us here. But my initial impression is just at is the level of vitality that the president brings to the campaign. You know, he is constantly moving. To the extent I remember, there was some time during one of his campaign trails in my Gibi, and I encountered one of the security guys, you know, who I happen to know. So I was just joking. I said, "Man, how you feeling?" He said, "I sleep, bro." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Make us sleep." So basically, what he was saying was that the president is constantly on the go. You know, so in the last week, for instance, he's covered 3 of the big counties. You know, and we're not just talking about visiting administrative capitals. The president has been to all of the different districts in Lofa County, in Nimba County, and now he is in Grand Gide. So last evening at 12 midnight, there was a rally at 12 midnight in Dredju.
Wow.
So the president was traveling for hours and arriving in Dredju at about 11 to 12 midnight. But guess what? There were thousands of people still waiting to meet him
at that
time of the night. So it shows the level of passion, it shows the level of love that they have for him and what have you. But there are 2 major sites from the past weeks. I mean, the past week that I like to mention. One is from Lofa, and the other is from Nimba. You know, so the standard bearer of the opposition party is from Lofa, right? And his vice standard bearer is from Nimba. So there is this perception. I call it a perception for a specific reason, because the folks from those counties basically are saying down with tribalism. You know, there's a group of progressive young generation that is emerging in Liberia. I'm not sure you've noticed, but you know, the young people from all over the country basically they're emerging. I mean, and that's the group of people that have been receiving the president on all of the different campaign trails. So the president visited Lofa County, from Salayo to Zozo to Vonjaman to Golahu to Foya. There were just the multitude that came out, and that's supposedly is, you know, they say he isn't a son from there. I mean, but basically the president is a son from all counties in Liberia.
Surely.
You know, because the Lofa people named him Tanu when he last visited there. He's only the president that has visited the county more times than even the president perceived to be their son. The president perceived to be their son basically only goes around when it is campaign time. He did it during the 2020 senatorial elections, and the Lofa people realized they rejected him when Senator, how do they call him? Joseph Jala was elected. He went there only during the campaign time, took the road from Freetown and then entered. He didn't use the difficult route and all of that. Basically, he was sort of implying that the people of Lofa County, my county, are basically people in the bag that I can just go there anytime and just round them up and say, yeah, come and vote for me on this time. I don't have to engage them. I don't have to go there. I don't have to visit
I don't have to do anything.
I don't have to do anything for them. So I just have to go there during elections time and tell them, say, come and vote. So basically, that's what he did in 2020. And the people rejected him, and the same as if they're going to do the same this time around in next week. Because the election is around now. So it's a week from now. So that was the major site that I saw in Lofa County. So there were just the multitude. But the one that was shocking is in the former vice president's hometown, Foya. The hundreds of thousands of people. Now, if people from your county, which is relatively small, by the way, Foya is a small county, but if people from your county turn out in that number to welcome your opponent, I mean, even if it is 50% of the people, which was not the case, I think by my own estimation, that should have been 70% of the people. But even if it is 50% or 40% of the people, that should mean a rejection.
That's the message you sent.
Basically, that should be a rejection of their son.
Okay.
They're basically telling their son, you've abandoned us. This man has taken care of us. whether it is with the solar lights he's provided, whether it is with the fixing of the Lofa Road, whether it is with the town halls, all the different community engagements that he's had. He's been to Lofa. That was his, I think, a second or so visit. Probably more visit than the former vice president has made in the last 6 years or so. So that was it. Then we went to Nimba County. The place that they say, one senator there, he can just wave the magic wine and then everybody's going to vote.
He used a lot of influence.
Yeah, he used a lot of influence to the extent that the Unity Party dished the people that supported them for almost 6 years when the Unity Party was essentially dead. Costa, Yombli Kanga, Darius Dillon, all of them fought, and Benana Yure, they fought to raise the Unity Party from the doldrums where they were following the 2017 elections, because the Unity Party, some other pundits would say they were essentially dead. These people raised the Unity Party, and they fought with the Unity Party, they stood with the Unity Party all along for 6 years. It was just 3 months to elections when the former vice president
he dashed them,
dished their hopes and all of that, and chose Senator Johnson, who, by the way, was seeking pecuniary gains from the president, because the president did mention that during one of the campaign rallies.
Okay.
He said, well, my obligation is to the Nimba people. It's not to one senator who will come bring me, because you took the president there. He brought me here, told you, say, I'm the best son of Nimba, if I'm your nephew, X, Y, and Z, only because he didn't get his aims accomplished. He flipped. So that person flipped, went to Brakai, basically he said it on the tape himself, Prince Johnson. He said, I just took a couple of months and convinced the former vice president, and he chose me. He dished Yombli, he dished Costa, he dished Benana Yure, he dished Dillon, he dished all the people, and then chose me. Chose my preferred candidate, Kun. So the perception was that Kun will win the votes in Nimba County. But let me tell you something. Kun and Senator Johnson have been in Nimba for more than a month. Wow. Did you see the Nimba for more than a month? Did you see the number of people that the president was pulling out? I was in Ganta when the president arrived. Ghana is a bustling commercial capital. The people don't leave their businesses for anything.
The poor, in fact,
the poor are so business minded. Yeah, they don't. It's a city that doesn't sleep. They don't leave their businesses for anything. So for people to come out in the kind of multitude, from the gates of Ganta, the river, all the way to the Jackie's Hotel, where the president got down and then marched to past Beer Garden all the way to Ganta, to the Guinea border row and all of that. It was quite amazing. But when we thought that was amazing, then we received huge reception also in Yekipa, in Kample, in Tapeta. But the most surprising of all was Gorma Play, Senator Johnson's hometown.
Okay.
Senator Johnson's hometown. There are images of the multitude of people that came out to work. I would describe them as maybe 10 to some 1,000 people that came out to welcome the president in Senator Johnson's hometown. This is the man who said he can deliver. Who said he can? No, government play, I think it is. Who said he can deliver all of Nimba County, but he can't even deliver his hometown, a relatively small place. The people basically were there chanting, Bekube. That's So I think it's, when you ask about my impression, I think it's just a national endorsement.
Okay,
all over the place.
Let me hear from Isaac Doe. Isaac, you've been also watching and in fact following as well. Let me get your personal impression.
Well, thank you, Sabo. Before I get into that, allow me 1 or 2 minutes to speak in condemnation of what took place in
we'll talk about that.
Okay, I wanted that to be my first, because I feel personal on that. The fact that the lives of people, of seditions, of Liberians were involved. And so I thought within my heart, in my mind, that was first on the agenda to let out because of the anger that is in me on that episode. So allow me to kind of, condemn that episode and let our people know that elections should have 1 or 2 spaces in our country. 1, exchange of ideas, and 2, policies. And the people should freely and with goodwill go to the poll and elect the person whose policies and well-being who suit their own human nature.
Okay.
It should be very far from anything called violence. And I will hope that we will be getting very strong word statements from from United Party whose supporters were alleged to have been those carrying it out. I watched a bit of the episode on Facebook from the video, and I was appalled by it. And I saw, a lot of other that are young people, and as deputy youth minister, and I would like to say to our young people, if you were to go to sleep tonight, just take up 1 minute of your time and think of what happened in Liberia in the 1990s, closing the late 80s. The only thing we got in this country was discussion. We did not have any improvement. Think about during the COVID time, just for an instance, when schools were shut down, who were being affected? Most young people. When entertainment centers were shut down, who were being affected? Most young people. When football fields and every other thing was shut down, who was being affected most? Young people. So it tells you, in terms of disturbances, we young people pay the bigger price. And that's the reason why we should never, ever again allow ourselves to be used by any politician for any reason. Election should be peaceful, and we employ the patience of those who are very peaceful and see elections as the exchange of idea, and ensure you go and elect the candidate of your choice. Everyone will not support the same one.
Sure.
Everyone will not buy into the ideas of the same person. So this idea that no one else should besides you, that's what I've always defined as the arrogance of the United Party, wherein they see Liberia to be a place where only United Party and United Party alone should be. Without United Party, it should be no one else. Okay. And so I would like to say to our people, please avoid violence. It is absolutely unnecessary. You can murder your friend, your fellow human in such a way. It is despicable, and you should be ashamed of yourself. And I really appreciate the President's Excellency, Dr. George Weah, who has been pushing the issue of peace, reassuring our people that Liberia will not end. Unlike what the United Party Standard Bearer saying, threatening the existence of this country, that if he doesn't win, this country will end. President Weah wants to let you know that this country will remain forever. This country will improve forever. The developmental path of our country will be enhanced, and President Weah will be your president for 12 years. Now, let me go to your question.
Yes, my impression.
On the issue of
your
the
impression.
campaign. Like I've said over and over, I feel good. I feel more relaxed even than 2017, because our people have seen from afar that elections should be on deliverables and what people can bring to improve their own lives. That's the reason why everywhere you have seen the president went, you will see multitude of people, even as like I said in Grenjida, where at 12 midnight a.m. this morning, you saw thousands and hundreds of thousands of people land about the street waiting to see the president. Not because they want to see someone who is George Weah, but they want to see this person who have changed the trajectory of our country's developmental path, someone who is building roads and the rest of it. But our elections is not going to be about slogans. Our elections is not going to be the just throwing jabs. Our elections will definitely always and must always be on the issues that matter to the Liberian people. That's why I feel very confident that this president will pull off this election on the first ballot, because the people will not waste time in ensuring development reigns, in ensuring the issue of that our kinsman is still.
Are you optimistic because of the crowds that you seeing?
You know what? I will be one person to say, you have, say for instance, Maserati, you have 900,000 or more registered voters. So if you have 100,000 crowd with you, you still have about 800,000 votes.
Sure.
I wouldn't say for a fact that the crowds you see are exact and 100% determining of who win, but I'll tell you it is a very big synopsis of what will happen. They say if the Christmas will be good, you will see it from the eve, because the issue of crowd brings out enthusiasm of the rest of the people watching and following. Imagine the United Party Vice Standard Bearer was in Maryland County, and people kept wondering, but who is this man? Is he someone running for anything? Because you found 5-6 person there. That alone demoralized the rest of the people, and say, you know what? this will not go anywhere. Let's just go for CDC because the fact that we know CDC is going to win this anyways. And so the issue of class plays a key role in determining who.
It's motivating.
It is motivating. It is reassuring.
Now let me start the issue of the violence that took place in Weah with the son of Lufa County. I was already in studio also. But we heard about this unfortunate incident. In fact, I spoke with someone's father last week on the day of the violence. I also spoke with him this morning. But the question to you is that, we didn't see all of this, especially when the coalition, the CDC, was in opposition. Now we are seeing what we didn't see before. What is really happening, Baka?
It was quite unfortunate because let me be honest with you, and I'm not going to maybe wear any sort of partisan because I'm not a partisan of any political party, but I'm a big supporter of President George Weah. But let me state this clearly that the former vice president has, before a couple of days ago, he was viewed as this, loving grandfatherly figure and all of those different stuff, until he started to make comments like Liberia, he will end Liberia and all of that. Basically, he was
the election is rigged.
Yeah. So basically, he was according. The election is not going to be rigged. He knows that. But basically, what he was trying to say was to threaten voters to vote for him. He was trying to use that intimidation tactic. If there's any president that's going to conduct a free, fair, and democratic elections, it's President George Weah, because he's consistently said that. He said that on the world stage. He was even recently, about a day ago, commended by the Deputy Assistant U.S. Secretary of State for West Africa, Michael Health, who was visiting Liberia. He said the U.S. has taken note of President Weah's public commitment, and they are here to support that. In fact, the visa restriction that was issued, there's the last paragraph essentially said they are doing it to support Liberian government's aspiration for a free, fair, and democratic election. So that's what they're here to do.
So this is something that the government has aspired.
So the government has already aspired to do that. So all of the thought they're talking about, basically, we're beginning to wonder, what is he saying? Is he saying that governments in power can rig elections? I mean, this man was vice president for 12 years. Is he saying things that he might have done that we don't know about? So what else might have happened in the background? But it is very reflective of the level of lack of emotional intelligence and tolerance and sensitivity, and a lack of maturity to an extent for a statesman to talk about ending Liberia. I mean, we're beginning to receive some intelligence that even folks within the cycle disagree with that kind of comment.
Okay.
So it is reflective of a number of things. Besides, the level of emotional intelligence, but it's also reflective of the health of the former vice president. Was he? Did he fully observe the environment? Was he fully aware of the environment he was in? Was he fully aware of the magnitude of the statement he was making? Because leaders, when you make statements, you inadvertently send cues to your supporters. Some of the times they will say, "I will do this." You basically telling your supporter, "Do it." That's if you have that's the kind of message you're sending to your supporters. So nobody was emboldened enough to have taken a stick to beat up a dead body. That was a sight that I couldn't watch 2-3 times. To beat up a dead body. That's what the people did in Weah. That was savagery. It was barbaric. But if you look at the kind of comments that have been coming from the Unity Party folks of late, which culminated in our end Liberia statement from the former vice president, it was quite telling. First, it was Prince Johnson, who talked about, that he was basically beating the war drum, say we'll bring the Arab Spring Arab Spring kind of rebellion. If you bring your people, if you kill us, we'll kill you. So he's talking about the president of Liberia. This is Prince Johnson. And I want to say he's been all out there trying to clarify, but we know Prince Johnson's history, for which the Nimba people are rejecting him. Then there's another person who has a history of violence printed on his back with a jacket calling himself Rescue Soldier. I'm talking about General Bob Neke. He said he's Rescue Soldier. So we know when that man was a soldier, what he did. He pretended to have assimilated within the population that he's so much of a God-fearing person. And suddenly now he started to morph into a new character. The moment he's given the opportunity, because he's beginning to hear some of the cues from the former vice president. So he's morphed into a new person now, calling himself a soldier. And then we heard the same thing again from Yeke Koluba say, if he loses, he's going to go to the butchers. Is it by coincidence that all these former warlords are supporting the Unity Party and suddenly we're beginning to see violence? And the vice president isn't calling them to order? Has he lost control of the Unity Party? We didn't see these things under President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. The Unity Party, if there was any political party that deemed to be civilized, during the past regimes or so, was the Unity Party under President Sirleaf. The vice president, like we said, has limited leadership ability. He's lost control of the Unity Party. He's lost control. He's invited warlords. He's invited violent people. And that's why we're beginning to see some of the statements that are coming out now. And that's why we saw the violence that happened. I don't think he even has control to the extent that the vice president hasn't even.
In another word, Broker, are you blaming the Unity Party for the violence that took place in Weah?
I'm blaming all those who made belligerent statements before them.
And you think that the perpetrators acted on their statements?
Possibly. So if you're a leader, you got to measure your words. You got to be very circumspect about the things you say.
Right.
When President George Weah was in the opposition, and it was not by some sort of special preference that he was made. While he was an opposition leader, he was made by Ellen Johnson Sirleaf to be the peace ambassador.
Surely.
That was because 2005 he called out his supporters when they were rampaging following the defeat. He said, no, we cannot tear down this country. We cannot. You got to be peaceful. He went and attended the inauguration of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. In 2011, when they had a shooting at the CDC headquarters, he's still calling his supporters, no, don't go out in the streets. This is Liberia. This is the country that I fought for. This is what this is our common patrimony and all of that. So following the 2011 elections, President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf said, who is this man? I mean, he's so peaceful. We need to make him the peace ambassador.
Surely.
That was his message. It is unfortunate that Joseph Boakai has deviated from everything President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf said. With the Unity Party. Now he's lost control
of the Unity Party.
Of the elements. Now we're seeing people in Weah saying they have 400 militants. 800 militants, basically saying people should be afraid of them because they're going to come and defend. And we see some of them, holding single barrel rifle and all of this stuff. That's scary. That's scary.
Now, so what does this speak? Let me hear from you, Isaac. With all those comments, and we saw the actualization of those comments in Weah. What does it speak?
Well, like Boakai rightly said, the reason you are a leader is because you give command to people that follow. If people don't follow what you say or the command you give, then you are not a leader. That's the reason why people act in accordance to what you say to them. Are we saying investigation has been concluded that this person is this person is that? No. But what we are condemning is the fact that the happenings has a direct proportion to things that have been said. And someone was joking and said, okay, Mr. Boakai has never worked in the private sector throughout his life. He has received salary from government, taxpayer money. So apparently now, he's not going to be receiving any salary from government now that he wants to end the country so that no one else comes to receive salary. We say no. The fact that you have received government money throughout your life, please leave other people that stay born here to get some too. We wouldn't be the only person to get salary all of your life. But again, someone, like I said it right, leaders will have to be measured by what you say, where you say them, to whom you say them.
Sure.
For the fact that you have people listening to you and see you as someone who will plug, there's a play. If you don't plug, it doesn't play. Now, there are different and many categories of people. There are others who will look 2-3 ways against what you say to take actions. There are others who will go directly with what you say. And that's why when Mr. Boakai said he will end this country, and again, let me correct it. He said if the election is right and he doesn't win, he will end this country. So what does that mean? Mr. Joseph Boakai is not going to win. So what that tells you is that his plan will definitely be materialized for the fact that he will not win. Now, if there was some book or scientific stuff that says you are bound to win, then we hear you. And then I got a lot of the folks from the United Party justifying if so you mean you will do it. But listen, you and I are competing over the rice. They said who wins the rice will eat the rice. And then you come and say if anybody eat the rice, you will kill them. It definitely means you will kill someone because the possibility that you will not be the one to eat that rice is there. Because it's a competition anyways. And of course, you know you come in this process as someone with nothing. And how do you think are people going to take nothing over something? Now, why are they being rejected in Lofa County? Because for the first time in the history of Lofa, you have lives to wear, lives wearing. You have children's school fees, Weah fees being paid. You have roads being constructed going into Weah and the rest of the places. Why should our good people, of whom they are in majority, choose someone who can say, I slept with you 200 years, although I did my thing 200 years, I only receive money and take me and the mail begin roll and things, don't do it. Now that in itself doesn't really make sense. And so it tells you President Weah is going to win elections. Now, Barker said this, and I wanted to say it as well. What is Mr. Barker telling us when he was vice president 2 terms, 12 years? Did they do something to win that he thinks we will win? So let me tell you, we will win the election the same way they won it. The only difference is that we are going to win on the first ballot. So if he
on the first ballot,
on the first ballot. So if he really thinks that they cheated, they rigged, whatever, if he wants to tell us that, he can come to tell us. But of course, we're going to win. The difference here is that we're going to win on the first ballot. So you don't need scientists to go in space and bring you pictures from there to.
What are the indications that you will win on the first ballot?
And this is what we're saying. The indication. Now let's look at place by place here. One of first, CDC is going to win Lofa County. Let me give you the reasons why CDC is going to win Lofa County. In 2017, I was part of the media team, but then played a very key role. We went through our war rooms and our strategies. We look at things. We decided to play a very low key in Lofa because we knew Vice President Barker at that time had this power thing around his neck. And the people tend to gravitate towards power. So I was on there. That alone could not have made us make inroads in Lofa. And so we decided to play a low key. 2023, what happened? Everyone that works in Lofa County in the government was appointed by President Weah. All of those votes come one side. Number 2, the current senator who won the recent bicentennial elections was supported by the CDC. Mr. Barker spent about 1 week or more in Lofa. They could not still win. It tells you things have shifted.
Okay.
Number 3, Thomas Fala has done things in Lofa County never done before. And all of those people he's brought on himself definitely shift something in our favor.
Okay.
Number 4, Jefferson Koji almost single-handedly took over the national team, the county team from Lofa. Where every time they came into the county meet, you will see Jefferson Koji play a lead role.
Okay.
And that will tell you all of the young folks that tend to love soccer and things who be going on that way because he has done something. All of these factors put together against the odds that Mr. Vice President may have visited Lofa 1 or 2 times or maybe none during the past 6 years, who only tell you that the people have now come afar, a distance from the thought that he's our kinsman, he's from Lofa, they carry him. No, they will be taking things that have benefited their lives over the 6 years over something that brought nothing. And that's why, number 1, I tell you, the citizens is going to win Lofa. Now, let's go to the other county. Of course, Maryland County, we're going to talk about it. River G, Grand
Southeast,
Southeast, they're not going to do anything there. Now, Bond County, I heard my friend talking, we will win 4 out of the 6 big counties. So I asked where they say Bond County. I said, but want the Bond County, you only have about 10-15% standing there. You all the people doing their own thing. So I 10-15% will kind of multiply times 5 million people for able to win the place. So I know the draw factor is there. He's not going to win anything. Anyway, so we all go. Now, Nimba County will be a battleground. I, for a fact, it will be very closely contested in Nimba County. Not because of President or Vice President, former Vice President Boyka, because of the factor of PYJ. We look at it. Although the people have seen differently that now they're not going to be taken as a pawn or a tool for vote because you tell me you get something and you give me vote. No. But let's look at it, the reality here. In Nimba, Senator Kun is very least liked from what I know in the place. He's not known across the place. He's just kind of a connection with the people. They don't have that connection with him. Well, Senator
You sure of that? He been in the county for a long time as a businessman.
I know Senator Nkun. I know Senator Nkun very well. In fact, that was one spokesman that would say, I made the ambition for him to go. We should talk and stuff. We know what we know. Now, he was a businessman and he will be within the business cycle, but still have the general cycle. Know him, that's not where he fits. So, he does not bring much.
He's never known it.
He does not bring much. Now, Senator Johnson is there. Now, a lot of people maybe going for senator and because of that, they'll be gravitating a lot. But then, those folks who may be looking at him for senator and then the president, as for president, will be about to be the so Nimba County is going to battle now. I'm outside of Nimba County. I'm looking at where else would be like the found one. The fact that we know the county. Okay. And that one you get into the bank. I said this one in the party friends. You know what? You're not thinking the men from I said, well, the people are going to vote for men from River.
So we'll shortly transition, from this whole Weah stuff. But before we leave there, but that's your county. Investigation has already started. What's the extent, that you want this investigation to go?
Well, I wanted to go to the fullest, and I'm glad that there's been some arrest so far. I understand the police have arrested a couple of individuals, and it is sad that those individuals that were arrested, one of the ringleaders, was seen in a picture with some of the Unity Party folks. But I'm not going to, but maybe there could have been some sort of social picture and all of that. I'm not drawing conclusion. The police authorities are going to, but those pictures have been floating online. But the thing I want to say is that the images that came out of Weah, those images don't represent the people of Lofa County. The people of Lofa County are quite peaceful and traditional people. They don't have that kind of characteristics. Lofa people are traditional. They are peaceful people. They believe in their family. It is called a bread basket for a reason. That's because that's the main thing they believe in. They're not religious.
So what is that narrative changing now?
So that's why we're beginning to wonder. Might it be that some of our leaders might have implanted into their minds, something quite out of the ordinary that the Ruffians don't believe in and all of that. So those are the kind of discussions that are ongoing. We're beginning to wonder why this, happened. But for generally Liberia, why should we be fighting and killing ourselves, for politics? At the end of the day, it's just a political competition. One person is going to win, and guess what? These politicians meet, they talk, they have discussions. So if you lose your life, and I'm being genuine here as a Liberian, if you lose your life, you're doing it on your own.
Surely.
For a politician, or if you get yourself arrested because you're going to be tainted forever. If you beat on a dead body or beat on somebody to their death, that stigma is going to remain with you. We're going to imprison you. We're going to arrest you. We're going to imprison you like we're doing right now. But one thing I want to state is that President George Weah has consistently espoused his commitment to maintaining the peace of the country. Okay. And it is a good thing that our international partners have recognized that. He stated that at the UN General Assembly. He communicated that he's going to have free, fair, credible, inclusive, but also peaceful elections. Okay. And the U.S. government, through its Deputy Assistant Secretary of State that was recently here, said they are here to assist Liberia. The Liberian government welcomed the recent statement. The Liberian government also welcomed the influx of election observers in the country from the AU, ECOWAS, the EU, the United States government, and all of that. All of those people are here to observe free, fair, and transparent elections. The president is not, look, we're going to whip these people on the first ballot. Like we were asking why we think it's going to happen on the first ballot. We have 2.4 million registered voters. So in the last election, we had 2.1 million registered voters. We rarely, very rarely, even during high times, we very rarely have people, the number of turnout to be more than 75%. So more than 75%, or about 75%, we're talking about 1 or 2 million or maybe 1.9 million people or X, Y, and Z.
That was sure.
I haven't done the math. That was sure. So assuming those 1.9 million people, the only thing we need would be about 1 million votes, 1 million plus a couple of votes. So we already had.
You pulled out vote?
Yeah, but we already had 700 votes in the last election when President Weah was not president. 700,000 votes. So that's 250,000 votes shy of 1 million votes. So when President Weah was not president of the Republic of Liberia, now that he's president, you know what's beginning to happen? You see what's the dynamics changing? The president himself was surprised at the level of reception he received in Nimba County. So traditional people that are in rural counties, they don't change the status quo. They don't easily change the status quo. But the urban voters, more rural voters can do that. The traditional people, the rural voters, they prefer the status quo. For instance, the president has done so much. I was riding on the road from Ganta to Sanikole. That road, from when we reach Sanikole, there's a lady there talking, say, I don't care whether he's from here or not. Old lady, I don't care whether he's from here or not. They both face the road. They were bad before. And that is the same story up to Yekepa. That road is faced up to Yekepa. And the intent is to face it up to Kample, Logatwo, and all of that. So imagine Nima vote that he didn't get in the first round of the last election. If he gets that this time around in the first round and gets Lofa vote, we ain't talking about first round. And Lofa people voted almost 78% for Joseph Boakai. Look at the narrative, how it's beginning to change. So this man has carried development into places that didn't traditionally vote for him.
Okay.
Lofa and Nimba County. So assuming hundreds of thousands of those people, vote for him, we're talking first round victory. And the reason it's even more possible is that some of the people who took a big chunk of the votes are in the race. I've stated that before. Charles Bronson is not in the race. Prince Johnson is not running for president. He's running for senator. He was in the last race. He took a significant chunk of the votes. Despite that, President Weah got almost 700,000 votes.
So it's in Boakai, Cummings, and I won't go to the other factors.
Listen, Liberian, there's a new phenomenon in the country which is called social media. It gives you a false impression of your worth. Some of the times people think that just because you're present on social media, that you're present locally. I was talking to a group of Liberians that came from the States, and they were quite shocked that Cummings didn't seem to wield as much support on the ground that they thought he normally would. That was the general impression in the States. I don't want to bash the folks from the
that he was highly popular on the ground.
No, I want to bash the folks from the ANC. I thought they did very well yesterday to pull the numbers. I thought their numbers were genuine more than the Unity Party, because Unity Party brought folks from out of Monrovia and all of that. So probably we're talking, maybe a second spot for them from what I'm beginning to see. But these folks were quite concerned about how it seemed like it was a major disconnect between what they see on the internet and what was the reality on the ground. The reality on the ground for them, when people had said that President Weah is not popular, but then they saw September 7th. In every street corner, in every part of Monrovia, every small lead joint or something, people were gathered just to say thank you to His Excellency the President. So the dynamics have changed. So being an opposition leader and getting almost 100,000 votes, being an incumbent president and building hundreds of kilometers of roads, reaching places like Johnsonville, other communities, rehab community, the Machimaka, for instance, with all the different roads. Plus building some of the roads to Lower Lofa and the roads, Sanikole Road, the road from Ganta to Tapeta, Saclepie, from Saclepie to Tapeta, all of that. People are beginning to see these things and they might have a change of heart.
Okay.
So there were a lot of independents who say, before, I couldn't vote for President Weah because he's an opposition leader and there's been all this vilification. But then now they've seen his presidency, so he has a record of 5 years versus a record of 12 years, where this man has basically said all the bad things that happened during the Unity Party government. And I want to just reiterate the words of Tiawon Gonglo, the respected lawyer, who basically said this, former Vice President Boakai is not to be trusted. That was Tiawon Gonglo. He said former Vice President Boakai is not to be trusted. Why? He said for a person who will eschew, who will run away from all of the failings of his former boss, this woman gave him the level of authority that he currently has, the level of influence that he currently has. She brought him from relative obscurity. Nobody knew who former Vice President Joseph Boakai was. President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf took him from there, gave him the influence, the power that he wields currently. And he has the audacity to denigrate this woman in public. First it was stated that he might have done it privately, but then he came out publicly to denigrate her and say, I told her X, Y, and Z, she didn't follow. In fact, we didn't do the one. But then when they say, the Ganta the Moravia to Ganta, we say, that we the one did it. They already become, yeah, we don't want to do it. But all the other bad thing, when they say, local money loss, almost tens of millions of
He
dollars.
exposed himself.
He said, oh no, I'm not part of
I'm
it.
not part of it.
That's dishonesty to its core.
Okay, you're listening to the Super Money Show, rated on the OBC 99.9 and also frequencies across Liberia. But I'm Director General, having you yet turn over to you. I'm still acting, my capacity as acting Director General. So please, I'll have to add some more time to give, to have an extended version of the SMS. I'm sure you are listening. But gentlemen, let's go into the aspect of the drugs. Narcotics. The government continues to come out of that, intense criticism. People think that, especially the latest drug, which is the coach. People are blaming you, Isaac and Borg are blaming the government for importing those narcotics or those drugs into the country against the will of our younger people. How do you react to that? What's your take?
Well, so the political side of it is one, and the reality of it is another one. I would have loved that this issue of drugs is taken from an eye void of politics. I would have hoped everyone sees it to be something dear to us, because it affects our brothers, our sisters, and not animals or something from the sea. And so looking at it from a point of view that does not include trying to score political points would be a good thing. Howbeit, our friends from the other side, a good thing now, they have tried to leave that because they know it's not working. Now going to issuing all these threats around here. But our friends from the other side have always sought to use that as a political weapon by which they score political points, letting people know that the government that is the government itself breaking things upon itself. But listen, Osobo, the issue of drugs has always been a problem for not only Liberia, for our region, for the world. And everyone has been doing everything, putting into place things that will combat this, what I would call epidemic. One thing that Liberia, under His Excellency Dr. George Weah, has successfully achieved has been the fact that our system put in place to detect importation of drugs to final consumers have been enhanced. For the fact that at the Freeport, there was some arrest of about 100 million worth of drugs. At the RIA, in some counties, what this tells you is that the system put in place by the government is strong and working, and it sends a signal out to who be importer that no matter where you are, no matter who you are, any attempt to bring these things in our country, you will be searched, you will be found, and of course the law will take its course. Now, what should matter to me should not be complaining of the problems, but finding solutions for the problem.
Okay.
Because we do know as a country that Liberia has many problems. One of those happens to be the issue of drugs, which of course Liberia is not in isolation of. But what do we do to ensure the problems is solved should be what we talked about. Not what. That's the reason why President Weah has always been called the talking do. He's not someone who complains of the problem because he knows there are problems. He's someone who wants to bring solutions to the problem. That's the reason why under President Weah, the drug law was amended to have been not biddable. It means if you are found, allegedly, and you are being caught, prosecuted by the law, you will not be billed.
Guilty?
The law will take its course to its highest. So no, we can't bring money and say, oh, I pay 200,000, release the name. You will be there until everything is done. That's the reason why, like I said, the system put in place has been detecting wherever the inflow of drugs attempt to penetrate our country. And that's the reason why the Ministry of Youth and Sports, the government through the Ministry of Youth and Sports, with direct instruction from the president, has implemented an ad hoc or project of at-risk youth, a project that rehabilitated about 520 of our friends and brothers, sisters who are on the street doing the issue of drugs to better humans. Where today we have started the broader version that our vision is that within 10 years, we will not be seeing our friends on the streets and going to the ghettos and things, because that project has set a path to rehabilitating all of these folks. Ensure that they go to the rehabilitation center, get detoxed, get rehabilitated, go through skills training, and at the end of the day, being provided some startup capital, some startup to be better citizens.
So what's the status of the program now?
The program has kicked up.
Because I can remember some weeks ago they were trying to collect the rescue you from the streets.
Right.
So where are we now with that?
And the program has been well on course. We've been partnering with our UN friends and other development partners wherein we've had our service providers who've been into that field before, taking in people's, because what we wanted to do is to have a one-stop shop wherein the government either rehabilitates or constructs this large area where our friends can be taken directly to. Now, since that has not been readied up to date, all decided to do listen, 1, 2, 3, up to 50, 60 organizations, you have been doing things, with these people, come and help the government. Can you take in 10, 15, 20% and rehabilitate them? Or X, can you take in 5, 10, 15, rehabilitate them? Why? So we've been sending these people across to various, organizations that have been doing that. And from the last time I got the report, we were at around some 300, 360, if my number is right, of persons that have been taken from the street and currently into rehab. We have completed a cycle of detox, or the detox takes the drugs out of them and try to, sway them away from the issue of drugs to the next phase, which is rehabilitation, trying to mold their minds, to start thinking differently, to start doing things differently. And when that is completed, they then go into the TVET issue where we provide them skills training. It could be tie and dye, it could be like Weah mechanic, it could be or AC repair and the rest of it. But that project has been on course, and with the issue of finding solutions, we are of the utmost confidence that this government is poised to look deep into all of our problems we have, including the issue of drugs. And we want to ask our friends from the other side, let's avoid making this as palliative. Palliative will not solve the problems. Let's bring ideas that will solve the problems, and that's where we are.
Now, Boka, let me get you on this one. The country is politically charged. We know that very well. We have just a week to go to elections to elect President Weah, retain him, or someone else. But I know you've been on the campaign trail and been seeing the turn up by the Liberian people, so you know exactly what could likely be the results of the election. Now, the president is campaigning on a couple of things that he has done, and all embedded into the PAPD, and that was also designed to reduce poverty, our people of poverty. To what extent you think this government has done that, Boka?
Well, the government has done quite a lot, and I want to pick cues from some of the things the president said in Tapeta, for instance. So the president was campaigning Tapeta. By the way, the president has made sure that he reached all across the different districts, administrative districts in one of the Nima County. So following the other places when he was leaving, and he stopped in Tapeta, that was basically where he talked to the people about the fact that we had 2 years of COVID-19, which basically took more than 2 years of work. Plus there was also the lingering effects of COVID and all of that. But in spite of those things, we did not make excuses. We built roads. We followed through with our platform, which was the foundation for the PAPD, the Power to the People platform of the CDC, which basically formed the foundation of the PAPD that has 4 pillars. So the first one is Power to the People. Basically, it's giving people power, giving people the level of empowerment to take care of themselves, empower their lives and what have you. That is, educational power. That's why you see some of the interventions in the education sector, whether it is making it more accessible by reducing, the fees and all of that, we serve as a barrier before, or also making it, very accessible by increasing the level of availability in the various counties. Because now we're talking about having high schools in all of the different districts in the Republic of Liberia. But along with these high schools, firstly, we now have vocational training centers in as many. So somebody was talking to me yesterday about MVTC. Oh, you see the graduates of MVTC, the parents who go there. I mean, that is MVTC is a sort of a unique symbolism of the government. Blah blah. I said, well, we're building. Currently, we have about almost 7 or 8 of those kinds of institutions on that scale, and we intend to reach that to all of the 15 counties. So they're going to be going side by side with the academic institutions. So that is giving the youth empowerment. That's why you see the number of youth, thronging in. But there's also the level of health coverage. We've made, health institutions readily available. You saw the folks from the Jackson Hebdo Hospital basically commending the president for fixing the road. They say their level of inpatient care has increased by more than 30%, but there's also the equipping of the major referral hospital. But then he's built 3 large hospitals in 3 years. All of these are empowering the people. He's increased, reduced the women's vulnerability to rape and all of that. So that is on the people's side. But then there's also economy and jobs and infrastructure. Basically he's stabilized the economy. He came at a very turbulent time. There were the lingering issues of Ebola, but there was also, he was coming off the backs of the drop in the major our primary commodity, the price of our primary commodity on the international market, plus the fact that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf had warned that there will be tougher times ahead because Omi was leaving. All of the major donors to Liberia were leaving. They're not leaving because President Weah was president, though. They were leaving because they are perceived that Liberia, according to President Sirleaf and Joseph Boakai, that the country was stable now, so they didn't need to have all the different interventions, ad hoc interventions. So those are the things and then when they left, we had to take it from scratch. Some of the protagonists in the Unity Party government even said, we're not going to have the ability to pay civil servants, but then we continue paying civil servants. We're up to date with that, and we reduce this astronomical pay system. And I heard one of the callers this morning talk about that. I want to lay a little bit of emphasis. So when the Unity Party took over, the wage bill annually a year used to be around $100 million per year. When they took over, and by the way, Joseph Boakai said when he takes over, they're going to reduce the size of the civil service. They will cut people down. And now, because you can't take it for granted because they did it in 2005. They had this right size thing where they put down downsizing. They put down thousands of civil servants, and they're repeating that again. They're saying they're going to drop people. So he said, where they have 500 people, reduce to 100. I'm going to repeat that. So Joseph Boakai said, where they have 500 people, he will reduce that number to 100. So they have these things on the books. So when we came, we had to again have this, confusion in the whole civil service system. People one person making the same job, secretary making 1,000 a year, another secretary doing the same job, another minister making 100 this and that. And then the ministers have something they call special allowance at their disposal. The minister comes in the morning and say, I have a special allowance. This person, this. All of them are loyal to me. They'll pay 1,000. All of you that can't speak to me the money will not make that amount of money. That was the kind of thing that they had at their disposal. Then they had, the last time one girl told me, you're too mean. We were eating at the restaurant. And then she said, do you have government official to me? I said, normally I wouldn't engage because these things quickly escalate into something completely different. And I urge people not to engage in the kind of arguments and stuff because sometimes they can escalate. But for once, I just thought to ask her, I said, what do you mean by me? She said, your friend is a girl gas slip. I said, but the gas slip are not even warranted. Firstly, we don't have gas slips anymore. So since I've been minister, I can't remember the last time I got gas slip. I don't have scratch card. So guess what? Not only were these people making 2 times more than I'm a deputy minister. So not only was my counterpart in the previous administration making 2 times more than what I currently make because my salary was almost reduced by 40%, they were also having gas slip, which they kept in their pocket and gave to girlfriends. Scratch cards. We don't have gas slips anymore. That has been cut from the system. To the extent that even deputy ministers don't even have vehicles. So basically, President Weah was saying this money will be used for development. Now, how we manage to save more money for the community roads that we're fixing, the hundreds of kilometers of community road. Can you imagine that the government on its own, without donor funding, funded the road from Ganta to Saklepi on its own zero? And guess what? 1 kilometer of road is $1 million. So what if you're talking about 10 kilometers of road, or 20 kilometers of road?
20 million.
Or 50 kilometers of roads. So these are the things that we manage to look at the Roberts Free Roll now. We're beginning to see all the thought we're talking say the government just stealing the money. They want damage the road to create the impression that they're fixing it. I heard some of the pundits, but they're not coming back now to say, oh yeah, we rely on the government and the government is beginning to fix it. So those are the things happening with PAP. The name is peace and security. The president has consistently espoused the need to maintain the peace. He is the only candidate that you can set apart, specifically in fact from Joseph Boakai. President Weah has consistently said, in fact, there is a signature phrase he normally uses. He said, without peace, our war will be difficult. So he uses that at the beginning of his speeches, at the end of his speeches.
Surely.
He used that following the violence in Lofa, when he had a rally in Tapeta, in Wikipa, and then he used that again at a rally in Tapeta, basically saying that there's no need because he believes in democratic values and all of that. On the other hand, his opponent, major opponent, Joseph Boakai, communist, with all due credit to him, has been pushing peace as well. But basically, Joseph Boakai was saying, if you win, the whole Abroad will end.
So,
whole Abroad will end if he doesn't win the elections. So, and his people have been pushing that. So, they're trying to create fear in you. But I urge you not to be fearful. Go out and vote for the candidate of the church. Go out and vote for President Weah, because at the end of the day, he presents the clearest opportunity for first the continuation of the level of development taking place in the country. Because mind you haven't changed the government now. No development going to happen for more than 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I'm not allowed to. That's a clear case. If you have any change of system, they're going to adjust. You know how long that's going to take? It will take 2, 3, 4 years. They'll adjust. Maybe the contracts will be reviewed. Some of the road construction, some of the market construction, maybe the pay system, all of them are going to be reviewed. So while they review our 2, 3 years, everything's torn. For who business? Somebody who's been in power for 12 years already. Who has said they squander opportunities and all of that?
Now, you just
before you go, I wanted to add a little bit to something like I said. You actually thought is very important. This is one of the things our friends from the other side keep pouncing on, just to confuse our people and tell the big lie that they always do on the issue of poverty. It is very important our people see the reality in these things. Now, one of the things we all need to recognize and all agreed on is the fact that as a person who have loved to see everyone on this planet get job, get money in their bank account, get rest in their house, and who have loved, I'm sure this government would have loved to do that. But there's something we must know that is the truth. Such is not quite easily possible. So no matter the case, some people may find it difficult at the time, and if God in heaven were to give me the right and say, my man, go and make everybody enjoy, the whole planet will enjoy, everybody will be okay. But what it is important, and what the folks have always said, is the fact that this government have put more people in poverty than time past, which is a blinding lie. And I want to, in 1 minute, quickly speak to the reality of what the number says. Now, what are those things you look at to know if people are doing better today or doing worse today as compared to times past? One of those things would be GDP per capita. Now, it's a big war, economic people will say, but let's bring it down small to our layman. It means the country worth. How much individual is contributing towards the country's worth? It means if individual is contributing less last year and more this year, it tells you that individual has been better off this year.
Okay.
And the next thing you also want to look at, you also want to look at many other factors I will go through, but let's stick on this GDP per capita for once. The record that I've reviewed, that I've seen, and anybody can go and check on it, is over the last 4 years of Unity Party, on average, doing the math, GDP per capita rose at negative 1.49. It means, on average, people were regressing. Mind you, it does not mean that nobody was improving. Government officials were improving because their salaries were fat and getting fatter, but the majority of the people were regressing. That's the reason why when you were to find the average, it means people on average were regressing at negative 1.49. under the George Weah government, as per the data provided by IMF, the World Bank, other people, over 4 years, I would say, excluding the 2 years where we have global economic breakdown from the COVID, people have improved at 12.19%. It tells you that the contribution of people to the national wealth have improved at average 12.19. And what is the last thing I want to end on? The price index, the price or change index. You want to compare country by country. I want to compare our region. Liberia has the lowest price change index for local commodity year over year. Let me break it down to our people what it means. It means the prices you bought for something last year, the prices you are buying for it today, they change. So how you found out? Go on Google. Let me just say it quick to our brother who claim to know everything. The new price minus the old price divided by the old price, multiply by 100. Take that figure. Do the same to Cote d'Ivoire. Do the same to Sierra Leone, to Guinea, even to Ghana. Compare the differences. You will note that in basic commodity, including the gas, the fuel, rice, soap, tissue, just get the prices and do. Liberia has the least price change index in the region. That's the reason why the prices of commodity in Liberia is lowest when compared to other countries around Liberia. It tells you that yes, I wish everybody enjoy. I really want that to happen. Of course, we know some people still find it difficult. That's the reason why George Weah, this president, wants to do more to ensure Liberia moves toward a middle income country where at least everyone can be on that extreme poverty line and not below. And this tells you, my brother, that the big lie out that this government put more people into poverty is lie. If you did the calculation, the economic calculation to our friends who understand that side, you will note that this government, since its inception, has taken over out of extreme poverty. Extreme poverty means those who are living on below the poverty line.
Okay.
At about 19 to 27,000 based on what index local to do your calculation, taking it out of poverty, while the Unity Party, at which Mr. Joseph Boakai, although he did not even know what was going on anyways, he was just there, put about 390,000 persons in poverty over the last 12 years. We can come on the economic table and debate these numbers, and our friends will understand that this government, in as much as Liberia got problems, is doing the best they can do to ensure our people's lives get improved, even at the minimum, but we will get there at a time.
We'll be ending this program at 10:30. Boakai, let me ask this question before I open the lines. You spoke about a couple of interventions that the government made in the education, in the economy, and the other sectors. Those challenges that the president met, that he inherited, those complex challenges, and he was able to succeed in trying to make those interventions at which we are today. Now, what do you think is responsible? Yes, one would say because he's extraordinary in his leadership, but what do you think is responsible, especially in the phase where we had a drawdown on oil, in the phase where we don't have external resources coming in, not many of the investors here, though we have some, but not many, as compared to previous administration. So what do you think is responsible for which that the president was able to succeed at the level of which he succeeded?
What I think is because of his decision to make it, because of his decision to consciously decide that this is something I'm going to tackle. This is something I'm going to tackle head on. It's not an afterthought. It's not a saba. It's not something, that's going to come maybe, as a result of doing something else. This is my primary focus. And all of the lieutenants got that message. For instance, when he took over, as soon as he became president, as soon as he was inaugurated as president, the first meeting here was with the rice dealers. So he called in different rice dealers in the country. It means that was something he cared a lot about. So if you're a commerce minister, you better take cue If you're finance minister, you better take cue from that. So the president basically called the rice dealer, say, rice can be at $16. We need to drop the price from $16. This is something I've consistently said. And then he told his finance minister in the first year also that we need to tackle the crisis. I mean, the was essential a crisis with the YX fee payment. We need to make sure, because these students came to me at my party headquarters telling me, say, I need to take care of their fees. So if these students, were brazen enough to come to me as an opposition leader and then go to the government, it meant that they saw me as their hope. So I need to take on that responsibility. And so he took it on. The same with, the university. He made a bold and audacious move. He took on his finance minister and said, how can we take care of the university of Liberia fee? Because, the minister of finance usually talk about, one of the low moments of the president was that when he was, confronted by university students while his convoy was moving, they told him about their challenges at the university. That was when they introduced this whole online registration system. So basically, people don't have to put racks on the line or chair on the line anymore to go get registered at, University of Liberia, or they don't have to worry about fee payment. Maybe that's some of the things that people can be talking. Anyway, I won't talk about that one. But yeah, but because sometimes people say, maybe that while our men get problems, say no scholarship, no also scholarship, this and that. The government pay all the things. But anyway, I mean, they have other genuine national concerns, so we shouldn't denigrate that. But the government is paying, those fees as far as the University of Liberia and all public universities is concerned. Why do you think it happened? It was because if you listen to the actor Asha War, you will notice that one of the things the president said when he was interviewed, and that award, I think we should be playing it on all the different radio stations. That was impactful. The Arthur Ashe Award, basically the global award given to heroes, around the world, in their different capacity. Ours was President Weah at the time. That was sometimes in the early 2000. When the president was giving that award, was basically to reflect the level of heroism he demonstrated in Liberia. He left his thriving soccer career. He didn't have to come back to Liberia like other politicians. They didn't really care much about Liberia at the time. But he left his thriving soccer career while he was making millions, and then keep coming to Liberia, risking your life to disarm people. So he was given an award for that. And when he was given the award, one of the things he consistently said was that we need to have the opportunity for free education. The president has espoused that. I mean, he started to implement that when he became president, but he's espoused that recently again, basically saying with more revenue, we're going to expand the space. So it's not just going to be University of Liberia student and public student having free education or me paying YFE. We maybe might expand it to all schools across the country. Nobody's going to pay school fees. Those are the possibilities that exist with more revenue. Those are the possibilities that exist also if you let President Weah. If you let his other people, they will review the YFE payment. They may not continue because they say that President Weah legacy. They will not continue the payment of fees across, for university education because they say that President Weah legacy. They will not continue fixing the rules. Everything will store. They might change all the different systems that he put in place. But one last thing I want to say before you open it now, which is around politics. If you notice, President Weah has been campaigning all over the country. He's going all over. Now he's in Grenjida. He's in the southeast. He's going to visit the last remaining counties in his tracks. He's currently in Grenjida. There's going to be River G, Maryland, all the different counties that he will visit before coming to Monrovia for the grand finale. So the grand finale that I urge all supporters of the president to be ready for is October 8th. That's going to be on Sunday.
Okay.
We're going to have a grand parade around Monrovia. Prepare yourself. If you haven't looked at your T-shirt for the president, you need to start looking at the T-shirt right now. You need to start looking at your paraphernalia that you have in support of the president. Maybe your car. If you haven't touched, dust it off for a while, you need to start dusting it off now. Look for that song, anthem so for the president that you will listen to that day, maybe dance to and all of that, because it's going to be a great. If you ever thought that the September 17 rally was big, this is going to be 4-5 times more than the September 7 rally. So you need to get prepared for that and come out.
That is on Sunday.
On Sunday of this week. That's when we close the campaign activities. That's when the president is going to be in town.
Okay.
He's visiting all the presidents. They say the Southeast people are not important. They're going to the Southeast. Joseph Bakassi, you're not going to the Southeast. In fact, He has commissioned. And Prince Johnson, what Prince Johnson said, can Joseph Baga go out where they play? He can't go out where. And a Kun going to be doing the work. The Kun he sent down to the southeast. So basically, he's saying, I don't
see. Let me take this one. Let me take this one from this line. Good morning. Good morning.
Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. This is Mario. They are calling from man.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, I'm terrible. That is your contact. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I know.
Okay. Okay. You made up one. You made up one already. Let's hear from you, Boycott. And
You know, I don't remember the last time that we had a president who's come from the dirt of poverty and risen to become the president of the Republic of Liberia. But not just the president of the Republic, he's risen to the top of his field in every respect. He became the world best player. You know, now he's become president of Liberia. You know what that says to Ma Mata or Ma Orito, you know, or Ma Klubo in Lofa County, you know, you know, all the different mothers. It tells them that their children too can come up and become somebody. You know, that you don't have to have a wealthy background. You don't have to affiliate with a certain group of people or a certain class of people. You know, as long as you can be disciplined and work hard, like President Weah did, he became first the world best player after being poor, coming from West Point, Gibraltar, and other places. You know, he barely had food to eat. That's why you see a lot of market women go toward his direction. That's why you see a lot of disadvantaged youth, our people derogatorily can call Zogos. They say, I mean, this the women don't have hoping because this man live our life. All the other people tell poverty, but they never really live poverty. This man lived poverty. You know, he rose from abject poverty to become who he is now. That's resilience. That's the human story. You know, and that is why we're telling a lot of people out there that their best bet is to elect this man. That's why he's still all of his policies towards improving the life of poor people. You see the kind of policy he's facing when he built housing unit. You know, say he can't pay 10,000 for a they used to do with the estates. The estate that Tobo and Tubman and built. When they build the estates, you know, the Matadi and whatever, they're going to pay for thousands of dollars. The president is building estates, if you will, and give it to poor people. Look at what he did to Invisible Park. Look at what he's doing in the country, the hundreds of housing units. He gave it to the poorest of the poor. He's building places in poor communities, Gibraltar, West Point, you know, Claratown, and all of those places. Nuku Town, you know, have a sports stadium there. So that's why you see the demographic shift happening as far as the election is concerned. The ordinary, poor, you know, Liberian people are saying that President Weah will won.
Okay. Let's hear from you as a quickly a comment.
Well, thank you very much. We head to the polls in few days from now, and our people have choices to make. One choice on the side of President Weah believes in fairness in our pay system of our country, in which secretary from finance ministry and secretary for youth and sports and secretary from gender ministry all make the same salary. And on the other side, a group of people who have threatened to dismiss people from government in the interest of increasing the salary of their interest are coming to you. We have a choice in which one side has always investigated thoroughly and made credible reports available to the public for all and every unfortunate deaths in this country, to the other group under whose watch the likes of Harry Greaves, the likes of Pachi were murdered without a single iota of report today as we stand. We have one side that believes in continuously paying WIAC fees for our people, continuously construction of roads, continuously providing proper housing for the poorest of poor, like I say. To the other side, they have told us nothing. And lastly, we have one side that is traveling in all 73 political places of our country, telling the people what they have done and what they will do, so the people hear from their ears what the person is made of.
Okay.
And the other side, that can even easily reach number Thereby, the people don't know what they will stand for. That's why we say, come October 10, our people go to the poll and vote continually, vote President Weah, and ensure that our country, Liberia, never turns back to the dark days.
Okay.
And this country will almost remain as it is, peaceful. Thank you.
Well, he's Deputy Youth and Sports Minister Isaac Gado. You also heard Deputy Information Minister for Technical Services, Boaka Fufana. Gentlemen, thank you for taking time off your busy schedule.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, so this is just how I go home. Thanks to my indie Friday Kabo, my illustrious and hardworking producer. And also thanks to Damawa Fufana, she's been behind the camera. Sabo George is my name. Join us tomorrow. God willing, will be right back. That's